So in this video we are going to look at using apostrophes for possession. Previously we've looked at using apostrophes for contraction and omission, and we've learned how to change a word from a singular to a plural, and this is going to help you when using apostrophes for possession. Now possession just means belonging to something or someone, and it could be belonging to one person or one object, or it could be belonging to a group of objects or a group of people. So it's really important that we understand the difference between singular and plural, because the position of the apostrophe will change depending on whether it is a singular or a plural. So to begin with, we're just going to go through some basic sentence punctuation. I'm going to read the sentence to you, and you can pause the video and you can have a think about where the punctuation needs to go, and then we will go through it together. So the first sentence says, "Tinkerbell," yelled Wendy, "are you going to help me fly or not?" So have a think about that sentence, and if there is any missing punctuation and where it needs to go, then we'll talk about it. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I read this sentence is that it's going to have some inverted commas, because there's definitely speech in this sentence. We just need to figure out what is being said and by who. I know that Tinkerbell is a name, it's also at the start of a sentence, so that definitely needs a capital T. And it's being yelled by Wendy, so that is part of the speech. So we need some inverted commas around the word Tinkerbell, and remember to put your closing inverted commas after the piece of punctuation, which I showed you how to do in the previous video. Tinkerbell, yelled Wendy. Now we know that Wendy is still talking here, so we do need some inverted commas around the next bit of speech as well. So we're going to put a full stop after Wendy, and then we're going to open our speech marks again, our inverted commas. So we're going to open our inverted commas. Are you going to help me fly or not? And she's asking a question, so I'm going to leave that as a question mark. Close my inverted commas here, but I need to start my speech with a capital A, because we've got a full stop here. So let's just check. Tinkerbell, yelled Wendy, are you going to help me fly or not? Now here we don't need asked Wendy, because we know Wendy is still talking, it's just split speech. Second sentence. Through the dense thick fog, they saw palm trees emerging. So pause the video and have a think about any missing punctuation or any spelling errors. So our sentence starts with a capital T, which is good. Through the dense thick fog, they saw palm trees emerging. Now the thing that stands out to me most here is the E in emerging. So I know that needs to be only, not a capital E, because it's not the name, it's not a proper noun. Through the dense thick fog. Through the dense thick fog, I know that this is a list of adjectives. We're describing the fog. So I'm going to put a comma between dense and thick. Through the dense thick fog, they saw palm trees emerging. You could even put a comma after fog, because you naturally pause there. Through the dense thick fog, they saw palm trees emerging. We've changed our capital E, we've got a full stop here. The last sentence, the pirate's treasure was lost as it fell overboard into the sea. Pause the video and have a think about any punctuation amendments or spelling errors. First thing, we know we need a capital T at the start of our sentence. We don't need a capital R in pirates. The pirate's treasure was lost as it fell overboard into the sea. Now we know the end of our sentence isn't after into, it's after the word sea. But this word sea here means to see. We know that if we're talking about pirates and treasure, it fell overboard into the sea, we need to use the spelling S-E-A. The pirate's treasure was lost as it fell overboard into the sea. Now this example leads us nicely onto what we're going to be talking about today, because it's talking about the pirate's treasure. Now I'm going to assume this is one pirate, so if we're talking about singular possession, our apostrophe goes between the last letter of the word and the S. The pirate's treasure belongs to one pirate. So there are two ways that we can use an apostrophe. So for a contraction or omission, for example, if you were contracting I am, you would use an apostrophe, and that replaces the letter A. And the second use is for possession, which we're going to talk about today. So like I've said before, it could be to show that something belongs to one person, or to show that something belongs to a group of people or a group of objects. So here, Miss Price's coat, this is showing singular possession, because there's only one person and the coat belongs to that one person. So if there's only one person, the apostrophe goes after the last letter in that word and before the S, like this. So you've got your apostrophe after the E, and then you've got an S after the apostrophe. Here we've got an example of a sentence. We're going to rewrite this sentence and show the belonging. So these are all singular, so we know that the apostrophe needs to go after the noun and before the S. So the pen belonging to Aidan would become Aidan's pen. It belongs to him. So we need a capital A, Aidan, apostrophe S, pen. The apostrophe comes after the last letter of the noun and before the S. The books belonging to Lottie. Just pause the video. How would you rewrite this sentence showing that the books belong to Lottie? There is only one person in this sentence. So how would you show that singular possession? So the sentence would be Lottie's books, and the apostrophe would go between the E and the S. So after the last letter in the noun and before the S. So in a sentence there sometimes may be more than one object or more than one noun, and that's what we call a plural. And we spoke about plurals in the last video. So it's really important that we can identify when there is a plural and what a plural word looks like, so that we don't just put an apostrophe in a word that is in fact just a plural. The tails belonging to the foxes. So here we've got more than one fox, and we know that because in the last video we said that if a word ends in X, to make it a plural you would have ES. So the fox's tails, we know this word is already a plural, there is more than one fox. So when we've got more than one noun and we're trying to show belonging to a group of things, the apostrophe goes after the last letter in that word, and you don't add an S afterwards. So here, the fox's tails, our word is already a plural, and we show that the tails belong to the foxes by putting the apostrophe after the S in foxes, after the last letter in that word. Similarly here, the books belonging to the girls. Now girls here, we know, is a common noun, it's a regular noun. You just add an S. We know that word is already a plural. So in order to show that those books belong to the girls, we would say the girls' books. And our apostrophe would go after the S, because we're not saying that it's one girl, we're saying that it's a group of girls and the books belong to those girls. We know this is a plural possession example because we've also got an S on books here, so we know that there's more than one book as well. The toys belonging to the boys. So we know that it's a plural, both of our nouns are plurals. The toys belong to the boys. So we would say the boys' toys. Our noun is already a plural, we just add an apostrophe after the S to show belonging. The boxes belonging to the teachers. So we know that there's more than one box because we know that if we've got a word, a singular word ending in X, we add ES to make it a plural, and we know that teachers is plural because there's an S on the end of the word here. So the sentence would become the teachers' boxes and our apostrophe would go after the S to show that there is more than one teacher. Of course, there are some exceptions to the rule. So some nouns are irregular when they become a plural. So we would have one child, but we would have two children. So if the word child becomes plural, it becomes children. So when the word totally changes, when it becomes a plural, the apostrophe sits like it would do if it was a singular noun. So we would say the children's coats. Although this is a plural possession sentence, our apostrophe goes between the N and the S because we already know that this word is plural because it has changed to the plural form. Similarly here, we would have one woman, so the singular of women would be woman. That is one woman. This is more than one woman. So because the word has already changed, in order to show that those clothes belong to those women, the apostrophe goes between the N and the S. So the exception to the rule is if the singular noun changes to a different word when it becomes a plural, your apostrophe goes at the end of the word before the S, just like it would do if it was a singular noun. So we've got some sentences here, and there are apostrophes missing, and the apostrophes that are missing could be for contraction or omission, or they could be to show singular or plural possession. So it would be a good idea if you re-watched the video teaching you about apostrophes for possession or omission. If you need to re-watch this video to go through the different singular and plural possession apostrophe examples, and then have a go at punctuating these sentences correctly using apostrophes for possession and omission.